Yeah, so there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is that Virginia and Carol get to enjoy a day off.
That is nice. Good for them.
The bad news is you have to deal with us today. It is literally raining men on Great Day St. Louis.
We're just giving the people what they want, Ken.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Viewers what they've been demanding for
It is the ratings period, and this is a test. This is a test bed. This may be what you see from now on, if it works.
This would be the song "It's Raining" by, you know who sang this song?
No.
The Weather Girls. And here, I'm going to go
I know who wrote it. Do you know who wrote it?
I do. I was going to go all Cliff Clavin on you, but go ahead.
Paul Schaefer?
Paul Schaefer of the CBS Dave Letterman Orchestra thingy.
How about that?
How about that?
Brownie points for me. So there's rain out there right now,
Yes.
but we think it might be a little bit heavier later on. So this is a day that we need to pay attention to the weather, especially this afternoon and this evening when there's a risk of some severe storms. But it could be worse. Could be an asteroid.
And apparently, there's no chance. NASA says a 100% chance that this close-passing asteroid today will indeed miss us. Have you heard about this?
However, this is an astronomical near miss.
Very close.
Because 200,000 miles in infinite space is nothing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this thing passing closer than the orbit of the moon?
Oh, I think
Like
it's 6/10 of a lunar orbit.
Look at that.
Of a lunar distance, something like that. That's pretty close.
That's really close.
This
thing's
close.
like a quarter-mile wide or something like that?
Now, I'm not sure, but I think somebody said that if the skies were clear that we would be able to see it, but I don't know about that. I can't say that for
Well, we
sure.
don't have to worry about that.
Apparently not, according to NASA.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know what? If we were going to get hit, do you think they'd tell us?
Now, that's a great question.
I mean, if they were
what do
looking
you
at
do
that and they
about
were
it?
saying, you know what, we're done. There's no way we're going to survive it.
think
All the
so.
dinosaurs are going to be killed off. There's no way we're going to get past this.
Do you even
Let's
tell
not
anyone?
even go there.
I think
because
so.
you know what, it's just going to be too much of a hassle.
They just tap the keg there at Mission Control and throw a few back. I wouldn't be surprised. But it does happen today. There's no
Right.
doubt going to be some news stories on this as the day.
Right, and you'll see probably some great telescopic
I
shots
hope
and
so.
things
That would
and
be
different
cool.
stuff to look at.
We're
All right.
so nerdy. But
We got a lot to talk about here.
Yes, we do. Coming up
Big
today
show.
on
Big
the show.
show.
Do you feel like sometimes you're just attracted to the wrong people over and over and over again? This is working. No problems here. We're asking one of our favorite therapists for a little advice on how you can start selecting the right guy or the right gal.
There you go.
Yes.
Also ahead, who says ornaments are just for trees? We are checking in with Jeannie from Three French Heads, one of our favorite places for some creative ways to use ornaments to spice up your holiday decor. And we love when the ladies from Apple Vacations are here. That means they have some great travel deals to share, including details on new nonstop flights from St. Louis to Costa Rica. That's right, but first, we send it over to Matthew for some good mental health.
Yes, well, I don't know if this is the right person to have on your camera with a toss like that, but thank you, Kent. Think for just a moment. Are you, or is someone you know, always attracted to the wrong person? It seems like a cycle. It happens over and over again. It can be really frustrating. A really frustrating situation for that person, the people they're in relationships with, their family. That's why we're asking counselor Lindsay Walden for a little relationship advice. Lindsay, welcome back to Great Day St. Louis.
Thanks for having me back.
I think we all at least know that person. We have some person in our life, whether it's a family or a friend, who seems to keep getting in these relationships that are not healthy, that don't have positive outcomes. Why is it that that continues to happen over and over again?
Well, the why could be just so many things.
Sure.
A lot of the things that we look at, we don't necessarily want to judge it and say it's wrong or it's bad, but like you said, unhealthy. A lot of it could do with, cycles that maybe we've seen or things we've seen modeled in our past, but there's something that draws us in. If it's an attraction, some circumstance maybe that draws us together, we have some connection that starts off that combustion.
And people on the outside looking in say, they have nothing in common, this could never work. And yet, you hear so often that opposites attract and variety is the spice of life. Is that not true?
I don't know that it's not true, because obviously there is some attraction, but there's this question of once we are in it, is the grass really greener? Like, we say we don't want a carbon copy of ourselves. Maybe that could make it a little easier if there was more in common.
And sure, that's true. And yet, I think it's an interesting point that the differences sometimes are what kind of ignite a little passion maybe.
Oh, sure.
Or trigger that initial interest. But there's going to come a point in the long run where too many differences, especially in fundamental value kind of differences, are going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's like some of those maybe bigger high-level things could be really interesting, and they could balance each other out, and it's, you know, can be really a good complement. We have to start looking at what point do those differences really start to cause conflict or friction and problems.
So let's say we turn the mirror on ourselves now and we realize, oh, I'm the one that's having the recurring relationship problems. What's a good first step if you recognize that maybe that's a recurring issue for you?
Well, one thing that I'll have people do sometimes is to ask themselves, if it weren't for that attraction that's like pulling me into this person, if it's physical or mental or some connection, would I be friends with this person? Do we have
that's a good one.
Like a complementary thing that it's like if we were just in a group of people, would we get along? Would we be the people that would sit in a corner and talk all night? Or would we be kind of like repulsed by each other? Or maybe not that extreme,
sure, yeah.
but would we definitely have some reason to stay connected? Sometimes that can be a really eye-opener for people to be like, wow, maybe I wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
Or maybe I would.
I wouldn't even be friends with this person on Facebook, let alone
Yeah.
friends in reality. Counseling, obviously, or any kind of open dialogue, open conversation
Sure.
has got to be really important to try to work out these kinks.
Absolutely. The reason I think counseling can help so much with couples, it's not like we have to be in counseling forever, but to be able to have kind of a third-party mediator so that we're not continuing those negative cycles, and maybe there is someone, myself or a counselor, that could say, okay, so let's really get at the core of what's happening here and not focus so much on those details and the things that are making us angry.
Because finding commonalities really can sort of make you realize, oh, wait a minute, maybe we're not so different after all, I suppose. And if we explore this, delve into it a little bit, you grow closer in the process, I guess you would hope.
Yeah, what bridges can be built? We may have some things that we really do have in common. Maybe not everything, but if we can start with that commonality and kind of build on a foundation rather than just always talking about the reasons we don't work or we are toxic for each other. Because it doesn't have to be a lost cause. Ultimately, sometimes when we get to that let's evaluate it point, it could be, no, we're just not really as compatible as we thought, but it doesn't have to mean that.
So take the spice, take the romance element out of it, and ask yourself, if it weren't for that, would you even be friends? Would
Yeah,
you,
do I like this person?
I guess that's a good question to ask at the end of the day, and if the answer is no, time for a little reflection maybe about that relationship.
Sure, reflection, being honest, open, dialogue about it, absolutely.
Lindsay, thank you very much.
You're
Good
welcome.
stuff. You can find a link to Lindsay's website on ours, which of course is greatdaystlouis.com. Have a good day.
Thanks so much.
Kent?
Points of reflection. Good stuff.